Hey, Louise Danoon. Hello there. Oh,
Hello.
hi. I've just been raving on while we've been waiting for
Have
you to
you?
join us from room
Here I am.
218 at the Best Western in Bathurst Street
That's right. That's
in
right.
2 weeks quarantine.
I'm quarantining for a couple of weeks. So both this week and next week, I'll be coming to you from this fantastic little abode that I have here. I'm getting to know it really well. And in fact, I did a whole lot of housework yesterday afternoon. So I've tidied up and we're ready to go.
Fantastic. And I need to say it's been one heck of a day here. So for me, this might be a bit more of an after-work drink than a virtual wine tasting this week. But we'll see how we go. Anyway, Let's get on to the wines and to Milton. I'll give you a little intro. Milton's one of the bigger vineyards in the East Coast wine region. As I said, it's in between Swansea and Bicheno. It was first settled in 1826, but it wasn't this current family who were there then. Apparently the Dunbabbins arrived in Tasmania in the 1830s. We're not quite sure when they moved up to the East Coast here, but there are strands of Dunbabbins all over the place. In fact, Michael and Kerry Milton, along with their children, it's becoming an intergenerational family affair down there. What was I going to say? I've lost it. I've totally lost it.
I don't know, but the farm at Milton was settled in 1826.
Yes, I said that. I know what I was going to say. In the East Coast wine region, we have 3 Dunbabbins. Just outside of the region, we've got another Dunbabbin that's trying to convince us to move the boundary so that we can take in Bangor Shed. But he's a cousin. So we're going to stick to the 3 brothers. So Michael at Milton, then we've got Bruce at Mayfield. Now, Mayfield is another big farm on the East Coast. Bruce grows grapes and sells them as a crop, like a lot of the vineyards do. Other vineyards grow grapes, they sell half, they keep half, like Kelvedon is an example of that. Most of these bigger ones do some selling of grapes that they've grown as well. And we've got the 3rd brother, the one in the middle, at Burnside, which is 6 friends. That one flew under the radar for a few years. We did that a bit earlier on in our tastings. So tonight,
can I just say, Subi, can I just say, so we've got Milton from Michael Dunbabbin. We've got 6 friends from Tim Dunbabbin. And even though we haven't got wine from Bruce Dunbabbin, just south of Swansea, the farm shed is made from timber that was sourced from the Mayfield farm and milled on site. So I feel like we've got a real connection with all 3 of the boys.
Absolutely. And the farm shed was built out of the inspiration of the old shearing sheds along the coast. And we're in the same timber that they're clad in and in the same profile. So we're gradually turning into a silvered shed like them. Yeah. Anyway,
we don't have to have the sheep and the sheep poo everywhere. I'd prefer not to do that.
No, we'll just stick to the wine. So Milton is a sheep farm. But Kerry and Michael planted the vineyard in 1992 and have never looked back. They were telling us, remember one night, Helen, when we ran into them in that Greek restaurant in Hobart?
Yeah.
And they did mention that their Pinot was very popular there, and they went through 6 cartons a week of it way then. Anyway, they were telling us that they wanted to diversify the farm and they were looking for a sustainable crop, because a lot of the farmers around here do growing of seeds for yates or poppies as an annual crop. But they wanted something sustainable, and with an average life of 80 years, they thought grapes were a pretty good option. They're pretty pragmatic.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So that ticked all their boxes, and Milton's never looked back. They've now got quite an extensive vineyard that they've expanded over the years. It's up to 19.8 hectares, which makes it one of the bigger ones, and quite an impressive range of wines. from sparkling through Rieslings, reserve Rieslings, Pinot Gris, Gewurz, Chardonnay, Rosé, Pinot. They've got reserve Dunbarton Pinot that they make in exceptional years. They've got this Shiraz that we're going to taste tonight. They've got an iced Riesling. Yeah, so...
Subi, one of the interesting things about it's common with a lot of the boutique sort of or smaller vineyards on the East Coast and maybe in Tasmania as well, is that the growth of these vineyards is actually exponential. So they don't sort of put everything in at once and then just see how they go. They actually develop it over quite a long period of time. So it was only probably, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, no, it might have been 5 years ago, that Milton had only 13 hectares planted out, and now we're up to 19, well, just about 20 hectares. And it's just really interesting how they'll do projects and growth as they can. And one of the other things about that is, do you remember the day we went to see Kerry and Michael at Milton? And Kerry was really excited because she had just received the new wine labelling machine. So they had been labelling their bottles by hand. And so she showed us the new labelling machine, and she was very excited about it. So I think it's always good to know that... places like this, sometimes people think, they're loaded and they do this and that and everything else. But in fact, they do it as they can along the way. And it's, it's just good to know about it.
A bit like us. We started with 40 wines in the farm shed 3.5 years ago. Now we've got over 90. They're one of the bigger ones, and they're one of the half of the East Coast vineyards that have a cellar door, a fantastic cellar door, and they added a really good food outlet a few years ago that's now been operated by 2 or 3 different people, but maintained that same high standard. Not open at the moment because we're still in COVID world, but they will reopen the food side eventually.
And it's going great.
Remember when they built that building too?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Anyway, we better get some Riesling in our glass.
We better get some Riesling. Now, we had a guy walk into the farm shed one day and he looked at this bottle of Riesling. Sorry about the back to front label. And he said, "Oh, I made that wine." Now, different vineyards change winemakers over the years, and that's certainly the case with Milton. But it's our understanding that since 2018, their wines have been made by Pooley Wines. Certainly Anne Pooley's name is mentioned in relation to their wines. Anna Pooley, sorry. And James Bronowski works at Pooley Wines. And just a little aside, he has his own little label, which he's released, called Small Island Wines, with a beautiful Tasmanian tiger on the front, drawn by his artist auntie. And he was the first crowd-funded winery. This was the first crowd-funded vintage of wine in the world, and it's gone on to win some international awards. He's made this Riesling, so let's have a little taste, because he's a very fine winemaker.
It's one of those Rieslings that has that sort of real, a slight citrusy lime sort of flavour, but retains some minerality as well. It's quite refreshing.
Oh, it is. I'm certainly getting
there's not many wines that I say I don't like, is there? I must get
well, no.
I just seem to like all wine.
Someone stood in front of the wine wall at the farm shed one day and looked through them, and they were pretty conversant with most of them and said, "There's just not a dud amongst them, is there?"
Yeah.
And there's certainly not. There's just, wines to match different palates, as there are gins to match different palates. Hi, Taylor and Smith, one of our most popular gins in the farm shed.
Can I while Rhonda's watching, can I just thank Rhonda for my my package of wines that she dropped in the other day? That's how I can taste the actual wine rather than pretending I'm drinking something else. So thank you, Rhonda.
That's a beautiful Riesling, Helen.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to have with it tonight because I only just got home from work.
Well, I do.
After
I've got
quite
some nice.
a day.
I've got some nice cheese from Will Stud, and I've got a nice little French Tilsit Tilsit number. Because I got a cheese and all sorts of goodies package delivered to me from friends here in Hobart. So I'm actually quite enjoying quarantine, Subi.
After the day I've had, Helen Bain, I almost wish that I could join you in that hotel room, I tell you.
Yes. Well, I did say to someone today. Yeah, I did say to someone today that I'm not sure if I want to go back to Bicheno because Subi might just hand me the keys and say, see you later, I'm off for 3 weeks.
I may well do that. Thanks, Rhonda, but she's got the wines for next week, and then she's going to be back here with us.
Yeah, sure. All right, I think I better drink that because I think we better move on to the Shiraz.
That's really lovely.
Yeah,
it's so really nice to. I mean, we have such a hard job, Helen. People come up with new vintages. They change winemakers. They have new lines. We have to taste them. We've got 90 wines in the place. So I haven't had this Riesling for quite a while, and
no,
it's just so vibrant and yummy. Is my technical word tonight.
Absolutely. Can I talk about some cool climate Shirazes? Given that that's the next one that we're gonna do.
I'm hoping you will.
Here's one you've prepared earlier.
Yes.
I've only got one wine glass, so I have to finish this before I can put the red in it.
Well, you do that, and I'll just do a quick. This is
Andrew.
Dunbabin Reserve, Family Reserve. Now, hi, Matilda. Lovely to see you. As we said, and most of the bigger vineyards have 2 levels of label, a white label and a reserve or whatever. So this is the Family Reserve from Milton, which they only do in exceptional years. So not produced every year, but this this little Shiraz is a multiple award-winning Shiraz. It's a cool climate Shiraz. It won a trophy at the Tasmanian Wine Show, I think this year or last year?
No, it was 2019.
2019. Yeah, so tell us a bit about cool climate Shiraz, please, Helen.
All right. So as traditionalists will know very well, that Shiraz in Australia is really known to come from Barossa, McLaren Vale, Hunter, and there's been over the years a lot of poo-pooing about this idea that you can grow Shiraz in a cool climate region. But it's only really been the last few years. Well, I suppose it's been more than a few years now. It's been about 10 years that the Shiraz grape has really been grown in the cooler climate regions, which are, you could argue that it's Adelaide Hills, but it's also around the Mornington Peninsula, the Yarra Valley, Orange in New South Wales, around the Canberra region, and all of Tasmania.
Whole of Tasmania.
Whole of Tasmania. And when it really got lots of people talking was back in 2010, when the very famous Jimmy Watson Trophy, which is awarded to the best new red wine of the year, and it's always, given to something from the Barossa or the Hunter or McLaren Vale or whatever.
And it's coveted.
And it's very coveted. And in 2010, it was awarded to the Gleitzer-Dixon Shiraz, which was grown in Tasmania.
I remember that. I remember we all went,
what?
Who?
What? Yeah.
Shiraz,
and if anyone wants to know anything about Gleitzer-Dixon, they have a bit of a cellar door or a shop front, if you like, on the Brooker Highway, just near the bridge that goes over to the college. So yeah, so you can actually go in there and try some. But yeah, so 2010, we became famous for our cool climate Shiraz. Now people always want to know, well, what's the difference between a Shiraz and a Syrah? Because there's a lot of reds that are called Syrah. And just a really brief answer, it's exactly the same grape. It's really only the Australian type of Syrah has been called Shiraz because it's grown in very much the warmer climates. It's full-bodied, it's higher alcohol and lots of tannins.
My understanding is that Syrah is often used to denote that the Shiraz is a cool climate Shiraz.
Well, it is. Well, it is, but it's a marketing term. It's actually the same grape.
It is the same grape.
And so Syrah, and the reason is that Syrah is originally, it comes from the Rhone, the French region of Rhone, where they were doing much lighter, not lighter, but more delicate styles of red. So cool climate Shirazes in this country are known to have a Syrah type of style. That's how they described it. It's actually a marketing term in Australia.
Everything's run by marketing these days, except so what we find in tastings at the farm shed is that more and more people are steering away from the really big, heavy Shirazes. But what you get with these lighter ones is a sort of fuller experience of the complexity of the grape itself, I think. So
it's like a graceful style of a Shiraz. It's got grace. According to some of the writing about it, they say that the cool climate Shirazes really present the terroir or the place of growing comes more fully out in the wine than it does in the bigger red Shirazes from the warm climate. A lot of them, they're almost sort of the same. You can't really pick out the different types of growing regions, but with the cool climate Shirazes, you can usually pick whether it's from Adelaide or Mornington Peninsula or the east coast of Tasmania or up on the Tamar Valley. So it's a much more sophisticated type of wine, I think.
So I'm thinking that this one is made from grapes that are grown on free-draining red loam.
I don't think you guessed that. I don't think that was just a stab in the dark.
Liberally sprinkled with dolerite rocks.
Wow, where did you get that from? Oh, it's nice, isn't it? It's more than nice. I don't mean that as a bad term. It is graceful. That's the word I'm after. It really is. I think graceful, smooth wine that still has some spices to it. There's sort of a little spiciness there.
And black pepper. I think.
Yeah.
It's really lovely. Yeah. So we've got lots and lots of plantings of Shiraz happening these days. Last week, remember, we did that rosé from Springvale, which was 40% Shiraz.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the wine region. It's currently the third biggest wine region in Tasmania, but it's only 1% behind Coal River. So my money's on us becoming the second biggest. Oh, now, if that's Will Stud,
That's Will Stud. I'm sorry. You've been doing this to me for 7 weeks. I've been in Vegemite and Chipland.
I know, but I am going to come and put myself into quarantine just to get my hands on that Will Stud cheese. Anyway, I reckon that the East Coast wine region is going to become the second biggest in Tasmania soon, especially if you people out there keep buying East Coast wines. They keep planting more grapes, and we keep expanding the range at the farm shed. Well,
absolutely.
That's us for tonight.
Now, what's for next week?
Oh, I rushed home from work. I didn't have time to look. I think it's Craigie Note.
I've got it on the computer. I'll just get it up.
All right, you look it up. So, if it is, have you got it?
Craigie Note. Craigie Note, Pinot Gris, and Cab Sav. Yep.
So one of the oldest vineyards on the East Coast, planted and founded by our very good friend John Ostwick.
So
we look forward to sharing the wines from Craigie Knowe with you next week, and some stories about John Ostwick, hopefully, as well as Sandy and Glenn. Okay, lovely to see you again, and thank you so much for joining us live. Thank you so much for watching these after they go onto Instagram, Facebook, and our website. Absolutely. Still getting over 400 a week. Thank you for the lovely feedback we're getting. We're still enjoying it. Hope you are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Skippy.
Right.
You know, visible means. See you next week.
Okay. See you next week,
Karen
everybody.
Hughes.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Karen.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.